It's Victory Monday here on Locked On Jaguars, and I'm going to tell you all about it, and fans tell me how they feel too. We'll get to it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, Victory Monday. How you doing? Glad to have you here on the Locked On Jaguars podcast. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day, and we thank you for making us your first listen. A quick reminder, we are free to subscribe to on our YouTube page. That is Locked On Jaguars. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button, and when you hit that bell, you're going to get notifications every time we drop a show. And then if you listen to audio podcasts when you're driving down the street, make sure wherever you do that at, you tap in every single day to make sure you don't miss an episode. Today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Good morning also to everydayers. Glad to have you here, especially on a Victory Monday. And if you're not an everydayer, you can be. Just come back every single day. Drop all your comments in the comment section as well as hit me up on social media. And with that being said, the Jaguars sit atop the AFC South. They are 1-0. And I know that's, a little bit hyperbole and playing with words a little bit and all of that stuff, but it is a fact. That's what people hit me with all the time on social media. It's a fact. Yeah, well, it's undeniable. They're 1-0 and everybody else is 0-1. Now, what does that mean? At this point, it means that they won their game and other people didn't. And that's a good thing because they could very well have been one of those teams that did not win. So we're happy about that. What we're going to talk about today is while the game wasn't as clean, they have a lot of things that they need to clean up. And that's the term that Doug Peterson even used yesterday. They did do something that usually what happened to them in the past is what they did yesterday. I'll explain that a little bit further, but it has something to do with making big plays and just the talented people on the team coming through at the right point and at the right period of time. So talent prevailing, and they got their win. A win is a win in the NFL. Segment 2 will hit the defense. So far, so good, and specifically with things that they really, really thought they needed to work on. The pass rush was one, and creating turnovers was another one. They were able to do both of those things yesterday, albeit against a rookie quarterback and a young team that was playing without their best player. Doesn't matter. You got to beat who they put out in front of you. And finally, we'll do a little by the numbers, look at some stats, and I will give you a rookie report, tell you how I thought the rookies who did play played. How about that? We'll go through all of that. So first, let's get to the game itself. I'm not going to sit here and do a play-by-play. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you already know what happened. You're 9 times out of 10 or 99 out of 100 times watched it yourself. So you don't need me to tell you what you already saw. No, we're not going to do it like that. We're going to try to tap into some things that you saw, but maybe didn't see them from a certain perspective. So the perspective that I'd like to talk about today is how this game was about. If you put the 10 best single individual plays in a bag and you asked someone to pull out the 5 best plays, pull the 5 best plays out of that bag, guess who? You're right, Jacksonville. Jacksonville would be responsible for those 5 best plays. And that's usually a sign that you're just a better team with top-end talent. That's significant because I don't know how many times in the past we could say, man, they were right there. They were the better team. They played them tough all game, and they were right there. They had the lead in the fourth quarter, and they were within 1 score, and yada, 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 because we've been there. We've been that team like the Colts are, like the Colts probably were, and their fans were last night, where they could say those things and then to only be done in by guys who are better than guys that you have making plays. We did it. For instance, I'll tell you right now, I'll go through it here. I got it here on my list just to make sure I don't forget. Early on, I thought Josh Allen getting that sack was extremely big because it showed, okay, it was immediate evidence that something that you'd worked on all year and all off season is something that you'd emphasized was going to show up. And Josh is a guy that, he's playing on his 5th-year option. He wants a contract. Well, he had 3 sacks in the books yesterday. We'll talk about that more in segment 3. The Trayvon Walker sack, as the Colts kind of had a little bit momentum and that got him off the field, because at that point, I was starting to get worried that the Jaguars were on the field too much because of turnovers and 3 and outs. And their depth would start to hurt them a little bit along the defensive front because they got some guys playing that they probably didn't expect to play because of the injury to Davon Hamilton or whatever the situation is with him and why he's not playing right now. So I was a little bit concerned. The Cisco hit is another one. And I know you say, well, it cost us 15 yards on 3rd down. But you know what it gained? It gained an understanding that you ain't just running yourself across here without consequences. And no matter how many penalties you get from something like that, I'm sure no quarterback likes to go over there and look at his wide receiver and go, my bad, I got you. I threw it into. So it made Richardson know that those windows were going to get tight. And then later on, the strip by Andre Cisco on a receiver when he was going down, he was able to strip the ball. Boom, point number 2. That's another thing that they emphasize. They emphasize takeaways in the offseason. They got a boatload of them yesterday, and that's a good start. Zay Jones' catch, can't talk about it enough. It was the catch of the day. I didn't see another catch anywhere that was as good as that. Zay always does those smooth criminal athletic things, though, and yesterday was no different. Calvin Ridley's catch and run late, I think it was in the 2nd quarter, and that's when Travis Etienne ran him down and even threw a block, kind of reminiscent of Jimmy and Fred against the Dolphins back in the day. Trevor Lawrence scrambled late when the Jaguars were really, really on the move and trying to cement the game. He had not run very much all game. He got a scramble for 10 yards. I could start to see the Colts defense get a little worn out because now you're giving them something else to look forward to. And the Colts had been, they've been playing high octane, fast, run and hit everything that moves all day. And then all of a sudden this guy does this. It's like, man, we can't win for losing. And then finally, at the end, once again, Travis Etienne. There was a hold, and there wasn't one. Doubled back, got a good block from Brenton Strange, rookie who I'll talk about in segment 3 a little bit, and took off and outran everybody. Ball game. Tank Bigsby. Before that, redeeming himself. He had been on the wrong end of 2 turnovers. Well, Tank got it, got stuffed, and kept those legs moving, and that's the toughness that we had talked about that we felt that they addressed in the draft, that ability to do exactly what he did. Kept his legs moving long enough to get some help from his lineman and got that thing to like the 1-inch line, and then they gave it right back to him, and Trevor held his shirt like they were on a, they were on an amusement park ride or something, and they just both walked into the end zone. So you send a message when you want to send a message. You run when you want to and when you have to. They were able to do that yesterday in the game where the passing game was a little bit up and down, and they got the victory. So I told you it wasn't going to be your standard play-by-play. It was just going to talk about I was going to talk about the emphasis and how things went. And for the most part, things went really, really well. Could have been better on offensively. Like the coach says, they still have some things that they absolutely need to clean up. And I'm sure they are absolutely going to do just that. Not a lot to clean up from our side, man. We're just happy for the fans, the folks that traveled, and even the ones that didn't. We're just happy that this team was able to come away with a victory here on Victory Monday. We got to get used to not having those hangovers and headaches from bad Sundays. It takes some getting used to. All right, we'll talk about the defense in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. After I let you know about today's sponsor is LinkedIn Talent Solutions, because these days every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best quality and qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team and faster for free. needed some people to fill up a barbershop and a beauty salon. And I went through LinkedIn, and guess what? I got it done, and I got it done quickly. It cut a lot of the BS out of the process, and you can do the same. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, man, we're rolling along here on Locked On Jaguars. Glad you guys could join me here today on a Monday, a Victory Monday, as the Jacksonville Jaguars win 31-21 in Indy on the road, a place that they do not have a bunch of good fortune. But today it was the Jaguars that came away with a victory. They beat the Colts the way teams used to beat Jacksonville. Play hard, play scrappy. Those guys up in Indy probably sitting there talking about moral victories and the quarterback who actually looked better. Some talk last night, and anybody thinks he's going to be great or whatever. Look, I think he's going to end up pretty good. If the biggest thing about, and you ain't going to turn this into a Colts podcast, but they are in the division. It's something you got to watch out for. The biggest thing about a guy, especially a young player, sure, do you have to improve? Do you have things you need to do better mechanically and all of that stuff? Of course. The one thing I can tell you about Anthony Richardson was he wasn't afraid, and he was confident. And to me, that's half of it, man. When you can go into something, you're not scared and you're not concerned. The rookie nerves didn't even show up, in my opinion. And at some point, he had me a little bit worried. So he was a lot better than I thought. I thought he wasn't going to be a good player at all. In fact, there's somebody out there, I know they got it. There was a text I sent someone last year that said he wasn't even going to get drafted. So I was a little bit shocked at his poise yesterday. He looked better in that game than he ever looked in college. So we'll monitor that going forward. But we got our own quarterback. We have a very, very good quarterback, just about a great quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. And he was a little up and down yesterday, but I do think a lot of that had to do with Trevor not being able to get comfortable in the pocket because the interior of the line looked like it just kept collapsing. So we'll see if he can improve on that. We don't care if the other quarterback improves on it, because that means if we're playing them, our defense is playing well. And a lot of emphasis on this offseason, when you talk to Jaguar fans about things that they were weary of or concerned with, most of the people, because especially once training camp started and they heard how good Travis Etienne looked and how he was going to have a very good backup in Tank Bigsby, the fact that they addressed the offensive line and the tight end room was improved, and Calvin Ridley started going crazy in training camp, there wasn't that much trepidation with this team offensively. Everything was all about defense, all about Mike Caldwell. Can they rush the passer? Are they going to be able to create turnovers? Can the linebackers play better? Can they guard people running across their face on shallow crosses and drag routes? Are they going to be able to tackle well in open space? Just about, if I had to put a percentile on it, I'd say it was about 90% of the people who were giving me things to worry about were always talking about the defense. Well, so far, so good. That's what you're going to get. SFSG, if I can spell it. So far, so good for the Jaguars defense, with a very limited and a very small sample size. Still, they were able to do things that people thought that this team had to get done in order for them to be good at it. So folks can, you can look at it like this. You can say, well, it was a rookie quarterback. They didn't have Jonathan Taylor. It's only one game. All of that is true. But we could be sitting here having this conversation with a rookie quarterback, with no Jonathan Taylor, and it could just be the first game, and they only got a half a sack between those two guys that got those sacks. They could have not created turnovers. Could have still won the game, and we'd have these questions because we would not have something that we can actually point to and reach out and touch and say, look, we said they needed to do it, and they did it. It could be, we could have been saying, well, they won the game, but it still didn't prove anything. because they had a rookie quarterback and they didn't have Jonathan Taylor, and the defense still didn't play great. I thought the defense was good. I thought the defense was fabulous. I thought they got a little bit too much bend at the end when they had the 10-point lead and gave up all of that room on the ground, but then they put the starters back in and tighten up. As Jonathan Vilma, who was on the call, said that he thought that they should be more aggressive, and that's exactly what they did. Josh Allen could not have had a better start statistically to a year where he's getting a contract extension or that he's going to be available for a new deal. He was lights out, absolutely lights out yesterday, and he probably played the best, at least statistically. He showed up better than he has at any point. Trayvon had a really good game. He was solid against the run. He got loose a couple of times and caused some pressure. You got to take little angles when you get those dudes running from you. You got to know how to take those angles to try to box him in a little bit. But he did manage to get a sack on a real nice move. He was lined up on the left side of the defensive formation, came up the field. And sometimes they were able to ride him around, but he came up the field and made a nice move with his hands and chopped down. And Richardson was trying to run to his left and get ready to throw the ball, but Trayvon got him down. You can surely see the difference in Trayvon and somebody. I think it was Foley Fadukasi. He came and hit him and was on his back, and this kid was still able to get the ball away. And Fadukasi is over 315 pounds. That didn't happen with Trayvon. When Trayvon gets his hands on you coming down because he is pulling, and he almost caused a forced fumble on that situation. So he played really, really well. I thought Andre Cisco really, really set the tone with his physicality. He just comes off the screen and he just pops onto the screen, man. It's like bang, bang, bang. He makes guys pay. The tax collector gets his money, man. I'm telling you, he looked very good. He got a fumble. I mean, he got a penalty for unnecessary. I thought it was like BS. I guess it's defenseless player, whatever they call it. It was a legal hit. He knocked the hell out of the dude. That's what you get for running across the middle thinking that everything's sweet, because it's not. So that's one of those plays where even though it was a third down play and the drive was extended, I'm pretty sure the coach was like, that's all right. That's all right. We kind of teach you to do that kind of stuff. So that's all right. Got another strip. I really like Tyson Campbell's pick because from the behind the quarterback view, Tyson Campbell got a very, very big interception in the fourth quarter because he came back. They were in cover 2. He came back, he released the receiver, and then you know what he did? He ducked and he shaded and he peeled back. And if you see the view from behind the quarterback where the quarterback gets the ball over the defensive end, you see Tyson come out of nowhere. And it gives you a little bit of vantage point view of what the quarterbacks are like. I don't see him over there. I'm throwing the ball right here. And then all of a sudden, when you let it go, you think it's getting there. And here comes this guy coming out of nowhere. It almost looked like something off National Geographic, how Gazelle is running and all of a sudden he turns the corner and the cheetahs come. That's exactly how it was, man. So Tyson Campbell might be on the cusp of getting some of the attention that I think and a lot of people believe he really and truly deserves as one of those elite corners in the National Football League. So far, so good on the defense. They got a big test this week against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll see if they can do something similar that leads to the Jacksonville Jaguars getting another win. Y'all always winning when you're here with me on Locked On Jaguars. You can win again by making Locked On NFL your next watch and your next listen. A daily NFL show that is also on YouTube, and you can subscribe to that for free as well. And wherever you get your podcast, make sure you check it out. Daily NFL show. I'm on there Wednesdays with James Rapine, but every single day is good. They got a lot of fellas from around the Locked On Podcast Network that give it to you straight with no chaser. So hang in there. We're going to talk by the numbers, give a rookie report, and I did a little something on social media. I asked everybody to give me one word, and I'll read some of those responses from the fans about how they feel today. I'll do all of that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars after I let you know about FanDuel, because FanDuel is the absolute truth. I was all over it yesterday. You need to get ready for it too, because the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, has arrived. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and get the NFL season off to a start with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel is a partner, official partner of the NFL. All right, third and final segment, getting here started. We're going to go with By the Numbers in the Rookie Report. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a good day. They had a really, really good day. They could have run the ball a little bit better. Travis Etienne got a little bit loose late. They had 105 yards. They controlled the ball about 6 minutes more than the Indianapolis Colts. They had 20 first downs to 18. The only thing that kind of alarms me is that the 3 fumbles where they only lost one of them, which was really a fluke play. But they still, it's still an opportunity for them to get better, protect the ball a little bit. It got a little bit quirky with the weird fumbles and the tip balls and all of that stuff, but just got to protect the ball. Those are training camp things that you saw that usually that's where you see that stuff, training camp, preseason. They got to eliminate it, get it, eradicate that stuff out of their game and eradicate that stuff and get rid of that stuff. But for the most part, the Jaguars did really, really good when it comes to how they, have to function and move as a team. But Doug said they have a lot of little things to clean up. The one concerner I do have is getting Trevor banged up. How do you repair and how do you fix him not, being clean and him not being able to drop back? Now, the Colts are only credited with, I believe, one sack, maybe 2 sacks, but it still doesn't matter, man. You got to be able to keep. They were credited, with 2 sacks, but you got to just be able to keep your guy clean, man. And they were getting a lot of. Walker Little got beat for 1 on the left side, and he got beat really bad. And then they were just getting a lot of penetration where Trevor was running and had to get rid of the ball. So got to clean that up a little bit. I saw the rookie tight end struggle with blocking a little bit, and I thought that was one of his strengths. So we got to make sure that as a team that those are some things that get cleaned up by the Jacksonville Jaguars. But for the most part, you win a game in the NFL. To me, that is all that matters. You won a game in the NFL, and you're 1-0. I promised that I would go through some of these responses here on social. I asked everybody to give me one word only. If you gave me more than one, I'm not going to read it. One word to describe how you feel today. Duval Ho says he's relieved. All right. Somebody else, Pug Peterson says he's relieved. Travis says win. Duval says pumped. Gary Brown says ready. Tyon Aiken says geeked. Jaguar Man says great. Role Players Podcast says ready. Jag No. He just put Jag No. Brandon Ward says relieved. Brandon Duval says optimistic. Penny's Thought says thankful. Patrick Johnson says frazzled. Nash Henry is thrilled. TFS Godfather says super. Chris P says anxious. Gamma Supreme says big. Mick Moss is jubilant. Pappy is happy. There you go. Chad Lightning is relieved. Somebody said, P. Griff says Super Bowl. David Lyle, you're undefeated. You're right. You are. That is a fact. Kevin Spaulding is hesitant. Okay. Mancuso is content. CTS Jags fan is optimistic. I got fortunate, confident, relevant, pumped, great, win, thrilled, relieved, conflicted, winner, elated. My man Rico up in DC says winner. Delphonic says victorious. Teal City Sports is great, and Sean says good. So, pretty much everybody's cool, but I think in a nutshell, what everybody's saying is just take it one day at a time. Let's just relax. We got the first one. Now let's get the next one. That's right. The next one we'll talk tomorrow all week, man. We're going over stuff. We're going to talk about the Chiefs tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Chiefs on Wednesday. We got a crossover coming Thursday with the group from KC, and that's always good. And then Friday, of course, we'll make our bold predictions and let you know exactly where we're coming from on the game. You guys make sure you take care of each other. Enjoy the Victory Monday. Make sure you take care of each other. And come back tomorrow for another edition of Locked On Jaguars. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Jaguars. Like I said, make sure you take care. Enjoy Victory Monday. How they say, pop your collar a little bit. Look in the mirror. Feel good about yourselves because you should.